Hey everybody, welcome back for another Memory Keeping Plan with Me video. So we're getting into my 2026 planner, and I am going to start off with the week that we left for Puerto Rico, which was the week of December 29th through January 4th. And I'm going to use this kit that I have been anticipating using for a while now. It is Cafe with Anna's A Stranger Christmas, and I will let you know while I adjust my camera here that we're not going to have Stranger Things spoilers in this video, don't you worry. I talked about all of that in my last video, my thoughts on the episodes that came out on Christmas and New Year's Eve in the last video. So this one is just going to be focused on leaving for Puerto Rico and enjoying Puerto Rico for most of this week. It's kind of funny because I'm not going to use my Puerto Rico kit until the week after this, and we were only in Puerto Rico 3 days out of this week, whereas this week that you're seeing here, we were in Puerto Rico for like 5 days out of the week. But I wanted to make sure to use this kit, and I wanted to use it for the finale that aired on New Year's Eve. And even though it's a Christmas themed kit, I wanted to start off my 2026 planner with this art because I want to look at it for as long as possible. I didn't want to shove it in the back of my 2025 planner. I have the mini kit on glossy paper from Cafe with Anna. I also have some random gold foil from like the Prairie Planner and Scribble Prints Co. that I just kind of used to make it a little bit more of a travel themed week, and then just to add some embellishments as well. Love, love, love this art. I believe it was Nella from Clip Art Kits who did this custom for Cafe with Anna, and I'm just such a big fan of it. I cherish it so much. So there's this tall box in the sidebar that I had to use. It has like the kids as little ornaments and the Demogorgon as ornaments on the tree. That weekly checklist is going to be for my dinners for the week. We have all of these ornaments with different designs from the show and characters and things like that. Had to feature Max and Lucas, of course. I put them front and center on Monday and Thursday of this week. And then I ended up doing like 4 extenders this week because I just wanted to use like all the full boxes. I didn't use one full box, and it was just a repeat of the tall box. So I might put that in my newly fashioned junk journal that you saw at the very beginning of this video. I put our itinerary in that little journal just to make it easy to access. I don't find it helpful to like have it on my phone. For some reason, it doesn't compute for me. So I found it helpful to have like a really light journal that I could have all our plans in, and then I could kind of add little tidbits of paper and things that we picked up along the way, as well as like keep a record for my future memory keeping of what we did each day. So I have all the details in there. I still have things that I might add to it. Like I said, like the leftovers from this kit, as well as after I do the Puerto Rico week kit, I'll probably have leftovers from that as well that I'll want to put in my little quote unquote junk journal. So let me know if you'd like to see a video of that, of the junk journal for this trip. I think it's going to turn into my junk journal for 2026 as well, just kind of like tiptoeing into that hobby. So yeah, just trying to figure out all of my extenders for this week. I absolutely loved the Mind Flayer in the bottom washi as well as in the date covers. So we're going to include both of those. And then instead of doing deco across the top, which is usually what I prefer, I'm going to do deco across the solid bottom washi here, because I wanted to make sure to use those date covers because they had the Mind Flayer on them. I thought that was really a fun pattern with like the Christmas lights and like the ugly Christmas sweater pattern, but having it be Mind Flayer themed. Love these donuts. So cute, like the pizza one and the Demogorgon one with the strawberries and the Eggos and the Christmas lights. I just thought that was very, very cute. And there's a little Eddie pop figure in this. There's a Walkman in here. And then of course Christmas lights everywhere, and this Demogorgon cake, which is super cute as well. So if you have any questions about where particular stickers are from, you can let me know in a comment down below. I'm not going to talk through too much of that. I will let you know that you're going to see a lot of bats from Sweet Ava's paper because that was kind of my tribute to Stranger Things, as well as there are bats in Puerto Rico, and I saw several of them on this trip. I love bats, I respect them, and I want to destigmatize them. I also like run inside anytime I see one at twilight just because I am slightly terrified of one of them biting me. I don't know that they would necessarily do it on purpose, but it scares me. Rabies scares me a lot, so I love bats. I want to love them, but I don't like hanging out with them that much in a wild setting. because I'm a little chicken like that. So yeah, I brought in as many Monty the Bat stickers from Sweet Ava's paper as possible, as well as, I forget what the little ghost and bat character are called from Sweet Ava's paper, but there's another bat there too. So yeah, like I said, that was kind of my tribute to Stranger Things, as well as kind of incorporating Puerto Rican animals in there as well. I didn't have any frog stickers, so we'll talk about that more when we get into next week with the cookie, and that is featured in that Puerto Rico kit. But no frogs, sadly, in this week. I thought Puerto Rico was great, like sound therapy, because of the cookie at night especially. And then like at one point we were staying in like an oceanfront condo, so the waves were really relaxing. And I even found the roosters crowing in the morning relaxing. I think my husband didn't as much, but I thought that was quite funny, especially a couple of mornings where like there's an overlap, I want to say around like 5 in the morning, when the cookie are still up from the night, but then the roosters start crowing, they start waking up. So I thought that was really funny. So yeah, lots of sonic lovely qualities to Puerto Rico, I thought. So yeah, you'll also see some stickers from Itty Bitty Sticker Co., who is currently closed, maybe permanently. I don't know. Tanya, let me know if you're around. I know she's around. She's fine. But the shop is not currently open. But I do have some beach Christmas stickers from her that I really, really wanted to use. So if you see those, a little cat with like beachy Christmas, that is from that shop. Other than that, I'm just going to jump into the day by day. When we get to Sunday, my color blocking is going to get messed up. That is nobody's fault but my own. I ordered a mini kit and I ran out of the cherry red color that's on Wednesday and Sunday. What I probably should have done in hindsight is, instead of repeating green, maroon, red on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I should have mirrored it and done cherry red, maroon red, and then green. But whatever, I just ended up using the neutral color from Thursday in the extender box at the top of Sunday, and then when the extender is closed, you can't even really tell. So my color blocking got a little bit messed up, but that is my fault. I wanted to mark so many things, obviously, because I was on vacation. So, oh well, it worked out just fine though. The color blocking every other day worked out perfectly fine. But yeah, let's just get into the day-by-day plans. Monday and Tuesday, it was very foggy here in Sacramento, and the fog returned after we came back as well. We got out of town right as like another huge rainstorm was going to hit, so we missed that. So that was kind of nice. But yeah, it was still very foggy at the beginning of this week. I did laundry on Monday because, are you like this? Like, I feel like anytime I go on vacation and I'm trying to pack, I'm like, I need to do like 14 loads of laundry. Not really, but like, you'll want to bring your nice, clean clothes, right? I voiced over a plan with me and filmed my lineup for January, which I published after I came back just for my own safety. And then I did all my packing this day. I also was cleaning the house because my friend was going to stay here and cat sit, at least for the first half of our trip. It kind of worked out. We had 2 friends' birthdays this week and the next week, and they kind of, each of them were taking care of our cats at some point. So this week was the other friend's birthday, so my friend was taking care of the cats, and then we flipped it starting on Sunday, and he took over taking care of the cats, so then she could go home and enjoy her birthday. So we didn't really talk about it that way, but I thought that was funny. But yeah, I was cleaning the house and getting things set up for her. Did some exercise and then checked in for our flights at the end of the day because we were flying Southwest, and at least at this point, they were still doing things the old Southwest way, which personally, maybe an unpopular opinion, I like the old way of doing things with Southwest, where you check in and then you get on the plane, you just grab whatever seat is open. I enjoyed the open seating policy. Apparently, I don't have friends in that department. So yeah, I think around now that I'm recording this is when they're going to start assigning seats. So I'm sure that'll create a whole new set of problems, but oh well, we enjoyed it while it lasted. And then on Monday night, I was rewatching Stranger Things Season 5, Chapters 6 and 7, because of course the finale was going to come out on Wednesday. Tuesday, my husband worked from home. I ended up having to fill in with some deco because the sticker that I pulled for that was teensy tiny. So I brought in the cassette tape, and I think it worked well with both the color blocking and also just kind of providing a background for the tiny little paperclip bat that I included. I also wanted to mark 8 months till My Chemical Romance, so I brought in this corgi emo sticker from Corks and Corks Co. I'm pretty sure I'm the one who requested this sticker, so I feel the need to use it. First of all, I felt the need to buy it because I asked for it, and secondly, I have to use it. So it's a really silly little sticker, but I quite enjoy it. I played with the cats because I felt bad that we were leaving, so I owed them a nice, good play session. And then I was paying some bills and doing the January budget just so those things were taken care of before we left. Then I needed to go pick up my friend from her house because I don't think she currently has a car, which is totally fine, and brought her over and kind of showed her the ropes because it's been a while since she's taken care of our cats. And then my husband and I headed out to the airport during rush hour. Driving through downtown Sacramento during like the 5-6 o'clock hour, not good, but we got to the airport on time. Security was not having everyone's nonsense this week. Actually, everyone who worked every aspect of the airport this week was not happy. The next week after the holidays were done, everyone was a lot happier. So yeah, TSA was like, and I'm with them on this one. I don't always like TSA because they've been rude to me sometimes when I'm like, I know more than you. But there were lots of people trying to fly without real IDs or passports, and TSA was like, yeah, we can do the extra screening, but like it's going to take a lot of extra time, and like it's not my fault that you showed up here less than an hour before your flight's supposed to take off without the proper documentation. Like I'm with them on that one because I don't know why people are going to the airport without a real ID or any sort of documentation that you need to get on an airplane, and then getting mad because it's taking too long. And it's like, well, you should have shown up earlier. I'm with the airport security on that one. Yeah, so we flew to Denver first, which is a flight I've done many a time. And our flight was delayed by half an hour for reasons that I still don't know why. And we were supposed to have an hour layover in Denver, but instead it was only half an hour. So by the time we got off the plane to Denver, we really had to book it to our gate. I hate the Denver airport. If you don't know, everything's so spread out. There's too much going on there. But anyway, so they were already boarding our flight by the time we got to our gate, and they had already boarded A group, and we were in A group for that flight. If you know Southwest, then you know. But yeah, so like I ran to the front of the line, and the gate agent was like, "Are you in Group A?" Like clearly somebody or a bunch of people had given him a hard time because he was like frustrated with me, and I'm like, "Yeah, we're in Group A." I am a rule follower. I generally am not trying to cut people in line or do anything stupid. I hate when I get the residual effects of other people not knowing what's going on or thinking the rules don't apply to them. Like I'm a very cooperative person. So when I'm on the receiving end of like a bunch of backlogged frustration, I get my feelings hurt. I'm just going to be honest. So anyway, we got on the plane. That was a red eye from Denver to Orlando. So that was a little bit longer of a flight, and I got to nap and listen to my music and everything like that. So that was good. And then by the time we got to Orlando, of course, it was already like Wednesday. So we left Sacramento Tuesday night, ended up in Orlando early Wednesday morning. It was our friend's birthday. Like I mentioned, the one who was going to take over cat care at the end of the week, but he got a break for this part of the week. We had technically an hour layover in Orlando, but it really didn't feel like that long. So I think we each got a bathroom break and a water break. And then we got on our flight from Orlando to San Juan, Puerto Rico. That one was a lot less dramatic, I think. Don't remember anything from it, but yeah, a lot less dramatic. We ended up getting coffee at the airport and kind of just figured out like what we were doing that day. We tried to just leave like a chill day because we were carrying around all our luggage because we couldn't check into our Airbnb until the afternoon, of course. So we took all of our stuff and went to Beginners Beach in Isla Verde, which is where we were staying, or the neighborhood we were staying in, and just kind of hung out, enjoyed the waves, enjoyed being warm because we hadn't been in a while, and it was gorgeous. And somebody was actually setting up a proposal, like somebody had hired a company to set up a proposal, so that was kind of funny to watch, and lots of people with their dogs and everything. So we just kind of chilled after a long overnight flight. And then in the afternoon, we were able to check into our Airbnb, which was, the airport and where we already were is in Carolina, but so was the Airbnb where we were staying. We had nice walking, or at least for us, we walk a lot, so like our idea of walkable is a little bit more than some people's, but we had walking access to the beach, and we were staying right near a bakery that we ended up going to towards the end of the week, which was really nice, but it was closed for New Year's Eve and New Year's Day, which fair to them. So yeah, we did that. We took naps because I slept more on the flight than I normally do, but I still definitely did not get enough sleep. So we needed naps, and we had things we needed to get done in order to be ready for New Year's Day anyway. Unfortunately, Clover was giving my friend a little bit of a hard time. Clover needs an asthma inhaler, my younger cat, and we have learned how to do it just fine. But with other people, sometimes she gives people a hard time. So I was a little worried about that, but we did go grocery shopping on Wednesday night on New Year's Eve because we figured most things were going to be closed on New Year's Day. If I had it to do over, I wouldn't necessarily go on this trip like during the holidays because a lot of things are closed, which is totally fine. We could adapt and it was fine. But it was just kind of how it worked out with when I have time off. Because I work in education, I have to travel during the holidays. So yeah. I wish we could have tried like more restaurants and cafes and things, but we ended up cooking a lot of our own food on this trip, which was totally fine. So yeah, we went grocery shopping. We picked up this beer that, I'm going to be honest, I totally picked it just because it had the little froggy on the label, the Koki. And it was like a German lager. And normally I don't like lagers. Like lagers are very hit or miss for me when it comes to beer. But this one was really good. It was from Old Harbor, I think was the brewing company. And it was their Koki Helles, whatever, that's a type of lager, I think. And it was really nice. So instead of champagne for New Year's Eve, that's what we had. And my husband cooked some steaks and potatoes and salad. We only had like a hot plate in this Airbnb and a microwave. So we couldn't cook it like that great, but it turned out pretty good, all things considered. So that was our dinner for like New Year's Eve and New Year's Day, just because we didn't want to like have to worry about like who's actually open these days. We figured a lot of restaurants would probably be closed, so we just didn't want to bother with that. So we just ate in our Airbnb, and that was completely fine. And then of course this night the Stranger Things finale came out, and it was available, I can't remember what time it would have been available in Pacific time, but it was like available earlier for us because we were in Puerto Rico. And if you don't know, Puerto Rico in the wintertime is 4 hours ahead of California time, which posed some challenges for getting up early the next few days, but that is fine. So yeah, I marked that with these Carly Plans Stranger Things stickers, the Hellfire Club, because it was a tribute to the whole series. I said I wasn't going to get into spoilers, but yeah, I really enjoyed the Stranger Things finale, and I'm really glad we watched it this night. And then we rang in the new year. We also watched the weird like Planet Fitness sponsored ball drop. That was what was available on YouTube. And not surprisingly, San Juan goes hard with the fireworks. For New Year's Eve, there were fireworks going off all around us. We really couldn't see any of them just because of how our little unit was situated, but we could definitely hear them. And I will say this, for that whole neighborhood, that whole area, they obviously went ham on the fireworks that night, but I did not hear a single firework any other day. In California, especially Southern California, you hear fireworks for like every day surrounding the holiday. So yeah, I appreciate having them on the holiday, and that's it. So that was cool. So yeah, that was our New Year's Eve, our quiet New Year's Eve indoors. We could have, obviously there were things going on in San Juan, but we're not big like party people, and we're not like big crowd events for these type of holidays anyway. Like we spend most New Year's Eves, pretty much every New Year's Eve at home, just enjoying each other's company. So that was a nice way to spend the holiday, just in a different city. And then Thursday, of course, was New Year's Day. We quote unquote slept in until noon local time, but for us that was like 8 a.m. our time. We started the day, my husband had to figure out how we were going to get to El Yunque Rainforest because he had booked a tour, a more private tour for Sunday, but that got canceled. And so he was researching how we could actually make it to the rainforest, because I said, I'm like, if we do nothing else on this trip, I need to visit I'm not going to come all this way to not visit the only rainforest in the US national park system. So he made that happen. Thank you very much to him. While he was doing that, I was just trying to wake up and have my coffee, but I was trying to figure out how to watch the Rose Parade, which I find a challenge with YouTube nowadays, but I figured it out eventually. Before that, though, I was streaming London's New Year's Day parade, which I never knew London had a New Year's Day parade. Apparently, it's just been going on for like a couple decades or something like that. But yeah, I was able to watch that, and then I was able to watch the Rose Parade as well. And they kept emphasizing so much how it was the first rainy Rose Parade in like 20 years or something, which was quite funny. Southern California, man, always have to make everything about how it never rains except for the days you have plans outside. So yeah, watch that. I also did my nails. So I didn't want to do my nails before we left because we do carry on luggage. We backpack, basically. We each have like a big backpack and then a smaller backpack that we carry around when we travel. It's just the easiest thing for us. We're both very able-bodied and can handle that. So that's how we travel generally. But because of that, I don't like to do my nails before I leave because they're just going to get jacked up with like lifting everything over my head and everything. So I had these white floral nails. These are the ones you see here. And I put them on this day because now I was officially on vacation. Because we were in the sand and in the salt water so much, though, they didn't adhere as well as they could have. But they're still around. You'll see them in a couple more videos, I think. And then we decided to have a beach day for New Year's Day. So we went to Isla Verde and just kind of walked the whole thing. I've heard people say like negative things about that beach, about how it's like too touristy. I didn't really think so. It's obviously like a beach with all the like big hotels and everything, but I thought it was a very nice beach regardless, and it wasn't that crowded either, which was kind of surprising. So we had a good time walking up and down the beach and just kind of dipping our toes in, and then we had made sandwiches as well as brought Pringles that we had bought the day before that were like enchilada flavored. They were actually quite good. Sometimes those flavored chips, like the unique ones, aren't very good, but these ones were quite good. So we had a picnic and then walked along the beach the other direction and caught the sunset. We were blessed with a lot of great sunsets and sunrises on this trip, and this was the first one of those. So that was beautiful. Then we went back to the Airbnb, and my sister had recommended this Netflix movie called Single All the Way. She says it's like her one like Christmas movie of the year. So we watched it. I do feel like the first half of it was really good, and then they lost me in the second half. If you really like Jennifer Coolidge, this is a movie for you. I personally don't love her that much, so that wasn't for me. And her parts seemed kind of belabored and long, but for the most part, it's a cute watch. And then Game Grumps, which is a YouTube channel, if you're not familiar, had a stream going for like several days. So we would just kind of tune in for that when we caught it or when we had some downtime. And then I had a really hard time sleeping this night because I was still on California time. So it was really hard to get up early. It was really hard to go to sleep at night. I wasn't falling asleep until like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning because my brain was like, it's only like 10 or 11 o'clock. And I'm like, no, we need to go to sleep. So I went to sleep eventually, but I had a really hard time this night. Friday morning, more things were open back up. So this was kind of our sightseeing in San Juan type of day. So we started with going to Panaderia España, which was right near our Airbnb. I couldn't decide what to get. I was overwhelmed by options. They have a ton of different sweet treats as well as sandwiches and lunch and everything. So my husband and I settled on splitting a cubano, and then we both got coffees. I think I got café con leche. And so that was really nice. And then we Ubered over to San Juan proper, really more like Santurce. And we went to the Museo de Arte de Puerto Rico. And I had really wanted to go to like the Anthropology Museum, I think, or like the History Museum, but that was closed for the holidays. So it wasn't open during the days that we were in San Juan. So we went to the art museum. I can do like 1 or 2 museums a trip, and this one I would absolutely recommend. You don't have to spend like all day there. You can just kind of pop in, see everything. Lots of gorgeous oil paintings in particular. And the docents, or who I thought were like security guards, you know how like when you go to museums, the people in black sitting in a corner just kind of like glare at you and don't really talk to you. They're just kind of there to like protect the art. These guys were not like that at all. They were very friendly. They kept coming up to us, and like one of them, he mostly spoke Spanish. So he was asking if I spoke Spanish. I'm like, I understand a little bit. I'm not very fluent. I can catch like every other word. I'm very bad at speaking it. But yeah, so he was explaining something to me in kind of like Spanish and English about a painting. And then this other guy, he came up to us at some point and was explaining the background of like multiple paintings, and he spoke English, so we could have a little bit more of a storytelling time about that. But I really appreciated how much they wanted to share about the art, especially some of the hidden meanings behind some of the paintings that had more like revolutionary meanings. So I thought that was, I'm always very grateful when people feel comfortable like sharing that type of stuff with me. And then they were just so friendly, and so it was a really nice experience. So I'm quite glad that we went there. After that, we needed to find lunch, so we ended up getting arepas. So that was just kind of at like it wasn't like a food truck place, but it was like this area that had a lot of, I guess, kiosks in the arts district. So yeah, that was very good. And then we went over to Old San Juan. So we ended up at the Castillo San Felipe del Moro. We didn't end up going inside because honestly, the area around it was gorgeous enough. There's these kind of sprawling hills leading up to the fort, and it's lots of people flying kites and just kind of like enjoying the outdoor space right up against the water. So that was really gorgeous and nice to see lots of people out and about walking around. And then we made our way into kind of the buildings of Old San Juan. We witnessed a wedding procession. Somebody had just gotten married and they were having their wedding reception at the old hotel there. So I'm pretty sure they must have gotten married in the cathedral that's right there as well. I think it's the San Juan Bautista Cathedral. So we saw that as well as the hotel, but the hotel, they shut the doors once the wedding procession went in, and you could hear them partying in there, but it was very clearly a private event. But yeah, we were kind of wandering around, enjoying the architecture. I was getting a little bit overwhelmed just because the streets are very narrow and it was a Friday night, so there were a lot of people around. Eventually, we settled on this bar that we found, like this tapas restaurant. So we got drinks. I kept making the mistake though of ordering like sweet drinks with dinner and then like not enjoying my meal as much because my stomach was like full of sugar. So that was my fault. But we went to this place called the Mezzanine, and it was nice to just sit there and have our very light dinner and drinks and enjoy the architecture of Old San Juan. And then I was watching that Game Grumps stream again that night. I feel bad anytime I'm watching TV on vacation, but like usually I'm out and about like the whole day, and then it's at the end of the day, like late at night when I'm watching television. So I'm not going to feel too bad about it. My husband and I are very evenly matched when it comes to travel nowadays. Like we adventure and we seek out like good food and all of that. And then we need rest time though. We need downtime. So I think we're well matched in that regard. Saturday, I marked that Clover was finally cooperating with my friend who was taking care of her, which was funny because this was the last day that she was taking care of her, and then our other friend was taking over from here. Meanwhile, we headed out to El Yunque Rainforest, and we went out on a big guided tour. A lot of people drive out there on their own. We did not feel comfortable with that. The roads are very narrow, and we felt more comfortable getting on a big tour bus and being shown the ropes of like how to enjoy this space. I think that just makes more sense for us. So we had a tour guide named Zoe, and she like led us through the rivers, and we went on a hike and saw lots of very lush rainforest greenery. And then there were options to like enjoy like this natural water slide and to like cliff jump and stuff. I'm not into that, so we just kind of like waded around in the water, and that was nice while we waited for the rest of our small group. And we also saw a Puerto Rican tody, which is a little tiny round bird. I guess I forget if it's the national bird or what, but I think it might be because it has the same colors as the flag, if I remember correctly. So we were very lucky to see that, but I always like getting a good hike in. It was a little tricky, like wading through the water, but I had my hiking boots and wool socks on, so I honestly prefer that to water shoes. Wow, I'm already at the end of this video. I'm going to go ahead and slow down some of this last bit of footage so I can talk through the rest of the week. So then we opted to stay at the lunch spot that they dropped us off with because this tour started in San Juan, but we were moving on to Fajardo. So we went to Yagruma Resto Bar and Las Casitas to get lunch and coffee. And then we were able to catch an Uber from there to go to Fajardo, which was where we were staying for the night. So that was handy to book a tour to get out of San Juan, but then like to arrange our own transportation to get from the destination to where we were staying that night. Once we checked into our Airbnb, I was enjoying pelicans and palm trees because we had an oceanfront condo. So that was very nice just to have like this peaceful view. This was the day, however, that I found out that the airspace above us was closed. So that was a little stressful because that wasn't going to affect our current plans, but we didn't know when it was going to reopen. It reopened fairly quickly, but a lot of people were stranded for a while, and we were a little worried that was going to be us. Luckily, it wasn't, but it could have been. We just kind of chilled for a while, got cleaned up because we had been in the muddy rainforest hiking around and getting sweaty. So after we got cleaned up and dressed up, we went for a walk around the bay in that area. And we ended up at a restaurant that served mofongo. So we tried that as well as red snapper and tostones, and so I pulled in some deco from the kit that I'm going to use for next week. So we didn't get shrimp mofongo. I think my husband ordered octopus mofongo, but we really enjoyed it. We need more plantains in our life, quite frankly. So yeah, that was a really good dining experience. We also had Medalla, the beer, which is also featured in the kit for next week. I have seen both pronunciations on the internet. I don't know which one's correct. Let me know which one is correct if you happen to know. And then just came home, watched more Game Grumps, and I marked that the ocean waves put me to sleep. It was nice. A lot of times I sleep with an air purifier on as white noise, but this trip I didn't need any white noise because, like I said, the sound therapy of the island was plenty of white noise for me and was much better than what I do at home. Sunday in the middle of the night, we woke up because somebody set off the fire alarm. So we were like about ready to like book it out the door. I think we were on like the 4th or 5th floor. So like we needed to get out. But then as soon as we opened the front door, it went off. It turned off. So anyway, got woken up for that. But because I was woken up, I decided to just stay up and watch the sunrise, which was so worth it. It was so gorgeous looking out at the sunrise over the balcony, over the ocean. Fantastic. And then the pelicans were getting up and doing their thing. So that was nice. Then I went back to sleep and slept in so that I could enjoy the rest of my day. We had coffee out on the balcony, which was very nice. Although the balcony was facing the east. So in the morning, it was really, really hot and sunny. So went back inside and just sat near the screen door. And then we ended up going for brunch at Café Pleo. And that was basically in the same restaurant area. These couple of days were definitely our restaurant heavy days because we were in an area where you could easily walk to restaurants. So we got brunch there, like I said, got a good iced coffee. I ordered some sort of like combo plate that included like fish-shaped waffles, and I'm a waffles girl, so yeah. But then I also had like eggs and potatoes and things like that. And my husband got some sort of like shrimp tostone cups, so that was tasty as well. And then we went back to the condo for a little bit just to chill. And in the evening, we went out to Seven Seas Beach. We ended up walking out there because we could not for the life of us get an Uber to pick us up, which is fair. It wasn't very long of a journey. So we walked out there. It took a while, but we were rewarded with the most incredible sunset. So it was probably the prettiest sunset of the whole trip. So that was really cool to see. And then we walked back to the little village and ended up getting paella at Pescadito, which is another restaurant in that same area. All of the restaurants in that area were very good. And the main one that we had wanted to try that was closed for the holidays, I think it was called El Pescador, but like I said, they were closed. So we tried pretty much everything else in that area, and everything was very good. We also got these mezcal cocktails that had blueberry and lemon in them to go with our paella, and that was pretty good too. Then we watched more Game Grumps, or it was mostly me. My husband was quite tired on this trip, I feel. So it was a lot of me just like trying to get myself to fall asleep by watching stupid videos on the internet. But I did go out on the balcony at one point and saw, even though we had like a really full moon while we were staying in Fajardo, you could still see a lot of the constellations and the stars. So my husband and I did some stargazing off the balcony, which was really nice. So that is the week. I hope you enjoyed hearing about it. We will continue next week with more Puerto Rican adventures. This is one of the few times that I've had to like split a vacation between two separate themed weeks. So I wanted to pay tribute to Stranger Things and the finale, and kind of say goodbye to the Christmas season. But then, of course, I want to use my Puerto Rico kit as well. So we will see that next time. I will see you next time, and I will talk to you then. Bye.